From the debaucherous and now infamous Meek Mill party to photos of celebs like Leonardo DiCaprio and the Kardashians hanging at freak-offs, footage is starting to leak that may expose some dark secrets inside Diddy's parties. In April of 2014, Sean Combs threw a huge party bash for his friend rapper Meek Mill at a rented mansion in Las Vegas. The event was hosted at a Parisian palace that Diddy dropped $25,000 to rent for just one night. Meek Mill turned 37 and the guest list was filled with A-list celebrities including Lil Durk and French Montana. Hard to believe we'd be talking about a party that happened a decade ago, but this is Diddy, after all, and the event has now resurfaced in the news for all the wrong reasons. Video footage and claims from the property manager, who had to clean up the mess afterward, paint a picture of a wild and chaotic. According to Jason Haidt, the man in charge of the mansion, the aftermath was nothing short of disgusting. He described the condition of the mansion as awful, claiming he found broken bottles, used rubbers, and BLOOD on the beddings. Yikes. There was powder, razor blades by the hundreds, and lubricant on the dressers and marble floors. The footage obtained by Daily Mail shows a scene that's anything but a classy celebration. Guests were eating sushi off the body of a naked woman who lay sprawled on a table. The party appeared to be non-stop substance-fueled frenzy. Haidt also said that he was contacted by Meek's personal assistant, who gave him very specific demands. One of the requests was that all the bedroom doors be fitted with new locks, which were to remain unopened for security purposes upon the guest's arrival. The keys for the locks were only to be handed directly to Diddy himself, and no one else was to have access, which doesn't sound suspicious in the slightest. He'd also first been told to expect around 850 people for the bash, but then there were more like 900. Not that it really makes a difference at that point. I mean, that is an ungodly amount of people to attend a party. I mean, it is in a mansion, but with such a large crowd though, the party was bound to get out of hand. Haidt also claimed that Diddy's team insisted on bringing their own smoke detectors. They weren't happy with the existing detectors in the mansion and said they wanted brand new ones, which they would have shipped and installed once they got there. The team assured Haidt that the detectors would be temporarily attached and then removed after the party ended. Alright, so next up, let's talk about an infamous VHS tape. A VHS tape, you say? You know, look, this was 1998, and that was how you flexed your exclusive party invites. A source recently sent a copy of this tape to Page 6 that was originally used to invite celebrities to Diddy's 29th birthday bash. The tape starts with Danny DeVito, who's casually lying on a sofa under a blanket, telling viewers, that's right, Puff Daddy is having a party, let's have a ball. Now the words come and ball so close together in the context of a Diddy party invite. Pretty ominous in context. Having a ball at a Diddy party can mean many different things. Luckily DeVito didn't mention more than one ball or that they'd be anywhere near anyone's mouth. At least not in any of the footage of the tape that's been released to the public. Then a lineup of celebrities, including Oprah, Ellen DeGeneres, Chris Rock, and the man who slapped him, Will Smith, Mariah Carey, and Joan Rivers, take turns reading from a script. They hype up the date, the time, the ridiculously expensiveness of the party, and then leave the venue a mystery, promising that it will be revealed later. Classic Diddy, just always keeping people guessing. The video is 6 minutes long, but only a minute of it has been released, so what goes on in those other 5 minutes? Who knows? Some say the celebs involved should be looked closely at, given their close ties to Diddy. After all, if the party's as wild as some people are claiming, it's hard to believe some of these A-listers were just there for the canapes. For the canapes. I looked this up, but it's a French word. It's some sort of hors d'oeuvre. Leonardo DiCaprio's name has also surfaced in connection to Diddy, particularly due to photos of him at several of Diddy's infamous parties. Diddy himself once named Leo as the #1 person on his white party invite list, which Leo was probably a pretty cool thing to be called at the time, but now being called the #1 person on Diddy's invite list, that's like being tossed a hot potato on fire covered in spikes. Now, despite the links, a source close to DiCaprio has said that he hasn't been in contact with Diddy in years. A source also said that Leo apparently never participated in Diddy's freak-offs, adding he attended a few of his parties back in the early 2000s, but literally everyone did. They were not freak-offs, they were big house parties. Leo, who is at the start of his career at the time, has reportedly moved far beyond that world. The source continued, Leonardo DiCaprio has absolutely nothing to do with any of this. For anyone to assume he'll get roped into this based on a few grainy photos from over 20 years ago is ridiculous. And in recent years, the entire Kardashian-Jenner clan has been seen partying with him. They've posted about it on social media and discussed Diddy on their reality show. Khloe even invited him to appear as a guest on her talk show, the name of which is Cocktails with Khloe. Considering the circumstances, it's a pretty apt name. So much that's not going to get into the video here today. Recently, fans noticed that Kim Kardashian unfollowed Diddy on Instagram after the raids on his houses. Now, was this just because she was genuinely shocked and disgusted, or was she in panic mode trying to distance herself from him for, selfish reasons? Khloe still has an Instagram photo of herself, Diddy, and her sisters together with the caption, "No party like a Diddy party." And there's Kris Jenner as well, who is dating Corey Gamble. Corey is a close friend of Diddy's, and sources claim that he was aware of Diddy's controversial activities. With Diddy's legal troubles now making headlines, sources say Kris is scrambling to protect her daughters. It's all very ugly and very embarrassing, and Kris is scrambling to distance them from all of this, a source shared. Another insider said that many fans assume the family was involved in Diddy's so-called freak-offs, but they insist that they had no idea what was happening behind the scenes. Diddy had plenty of glamorous parties over the years that weren't freak-offs, the source explained, at least not until the early morning hours when the majority of people had left. Martha Stewart, known for her empire of home goods and lifestyle expertise, has been to one of Diddy's famous parties, at least one. On November 20th of 2009, she posted on her website about attending what was being dubbed as the party of the century, Sean Combs' 40th birthday. The event took place in the grand ballroom of the Plaza Hotel in New York. Martha described the night, saying, "The party was simply stunning, and I had such a fantastic time." Martha also posted pictures of herself at the event. She also included photos of Diddy arriving and one of them together, captioned, "My friend, Sean Puffy Combs Diddy." People, of course, didn't think much of these photos then. In 2017, she even had Diddy as a guest on her VH1 cooking show with Snoop Dogg, Martha and Snoop's potluck dinner party. During the show, they played a card game where one prompt asked, "When I die, I want my last words to be." Diddy responded with 3 words, "I did it." Just another thing to add to the long list of Diddy-related quotes that have not aged well. Martha Stewart, of course, is no stranger to legal troubles herself. In 2004, she was convicted of charges including conspiracy and obstruction of justice in a case related to the sale of stock in ImClone Systems, a biopharmaceutical company. She was sentenced to 5 months in prison, 2 years of probation, and a $195,000 fine. But as of now, she has not been officially linked to any of Diddy's criminal activities. Still, people are wondering, considering how close she appeared to be with him in public. Diddy, for his part, had never been convicted of a serious crime before 2023, though he had long faced accusations of violence and mistreatment of women. That changed when his ex-girlfriend Casey Ventura filed a lawsuit accusing him of mistreating her during their 10-year relationship. Diddy's attorney denied the allegations, calling them outrageous and accusing Cassie of trying to extort him. The case was settled quickly, but the damage was done. In May of 2024, security footage surfaced showing an incident between Diddy and Casey that matched her claims, and Diddy was forced to issue an apology. Many saw it as insecure, given that it came out only after he was caught. Diddy's troubles didn't stop there. After Casey's lawsuit, more individuals began to come forward accusing him of similar mistreatment. By the fall of 2024, it was revealed that Diddy had been running a crime ring out of his parties, and the FBI raided his homes. Investigators uncovered that his infamous after-parties had been a front for illegal activities, with dozens of victims. By October, more than 120 people had accused him of various crimes, and Diddy was arrested in September of 2024. The accusations surrounding Diddy's parties have led to many questioning the role of celebrities like the ones I've just discussed who came to these events. Other sources have described Diddy's parties as wild, with some guests leaving early to avoid the, quote, turn that the party would take. So my point is, did Martha Stewart leave early? or did she stick around?
In the shadow of the increasingly horrifying Diddy controversy, a barely known celebrity power couple was broken apart. Jennifer Lopez, henceforth J-Lo, filed for divorce from her husband Ben Affleck in August of this year, something which many had seen coming as they hadn't been seen together for months, and it seemed that they were slowly drifting apart. But it does seem that a simple falling out of love may not be the full story. It's no secret J-Lo dated Diddy decades ago and was likely therefore at least familiar with his freak-offs and other crimes. She was present when, in 1999, allegedly Diddy propelled lead from his hand device into 3 people at a nightclub, which was then allegedly pinned on young rapper Shine, getting him put in prison for 8 years. So suffice to say, J-Lo was pretty close with Diddy, and was possibly even part of protecting him from legal consequence by denying the gat was his. When Diddy's mansion was raided, all sorts of things were recovered, from dangerous tools and illicit substances to the famed 1,000 bottles of baby oil, several toys, and even recorded tapes of his illicit and immoral activities. I could go on about how idiotic it is to both record and then store your crimes, but no one's defending Diddy, and this story is about the power couple themselves. Well, according to Suge Knight, not exactly the most innocent person either, amongst Diddy's many freak-off tapes were several tapes of J-Lo. Now, the details on what was in this footage is pretty hazy. Suge himself said they showed J-Lo doing this and J-Lo doing that, but what this and that are is unknown. That makes it pretty concerning given just what we know happened at these parties. This and that could mean anything from recreational illicit use to harder, not so recreational use, to the conducting of several illicit adult actions, potentially with multiple participants, and in possibly the worst case could show J-Lo forcibly interacting with people at these parties, which would be pretty disturbing. Well, when Diddy's mansion was raided in March, it seems that several of these tapes were recovered. By complete coincidence, this is the last time Ben and Jennifer were thought of as a happy couple, with a distinct lack of affection being noticed by reporters from May to August when the divorce was finalized. According to Suge Knight, this is no coincidence whatsoever. He believes that Ben Affleck, a powerful and famous man, was likely given or shown a copy of the tapes of J-Lo by some concerned party. Suge seems quite positive that Affleck did in fact see the videos and was troubled by them, but the details are not known. Given that the FBI is involved and is holding the evidence, it likely wasn't strictly legal for Affleck to be able to view this footage in the first place, so it leaves a big question as to how he may have received it. Diddy was a prolific recorder and allegedly recorded most of the depraved things that he coerced, manipulated, and forced other people to do. Much of this was, it's believed, intended as leverage against those people to keep them quiet and compliant. It's very possible that these videos are such leverage, possibly recorded intentionally and orchestrated to be as vile and embarrassing as possible. If so, then in a way these videos may have had their intended effect, to harm J-Lo and destabilize her life once uncovered. However, it's just as likely that these videos show J-Lo doing some pretty reprehensible things of her own will. Things Affleck may not want to be anywhere near or associated with someone who did. It does seem strange that the power couple united after decades of controversy, and right after P. Diddy's home is raided, they end up going through some marital troubles. Now, it was J-Lo who filed for divorce, as far as we can tell, but they were both clearly losing interest, judging by Affleck skipping her birthday and several other incidents. However, we do not know the circumstances the couple was under. It may be that J-Lo herself is going to end up facing criminal charges, and it's better for Ben and their kids for them to be separate. Or maybe Affleck saw something that changed how he viewed her, and she eventually couldn't stand the alienation and filed for divorce. The reporting around this subject has been really strange, with People magazine saying that she was done waiting for Affleck and that he wasn't giving her any signs that he wanted to continue the marriage. Allegedly, they'd been separated since late April. Now, that would seem to put the brakes on the idea that it was the footage that broke them up, but it may still be the case that they separated for one reason and stayed separate for another. The latest drama really starts here though. Ever since people found out about potential illicit video of J-Lo at the peak of her fame and popularity, there's been a clamoring to see it. Of course, with the evidence being held by the FBI, it seems impossible for there to be a leak, as this evidence is likely critical for the full scope of the trial. And yet, there has allegedly been a leak of some truly foul footage involving J-Lo and highly illegal CSA behavior. It's also been alleged that Ben Affleck was well aware of what was going on at the freak-offs and of J-Lo's involvement, which could put a whole new spin on things. So why are some sources stating that Ben Affleck is the source of the leak? It does fit nicely. Innocent husband finds out something horrible about his wife, divorces her, and then in revenge leaks the footage of this horrible thing. Except he didn't divorce her, she divorced him, and there's no reason to believe Affleck was the one behind the leak. If it's true that he knows more than he's let on, it's likely that both Ben and Jen are scrabbling to protect their reputations right now, and that an unrelated marriage dispute could be a good way for at least Affleck to stay out of the situation. But where did the leak come from? Well, several sources are claiming the leak was actually from rapper 50 Cent. It's no secret that 50 hates Diddy with a passion and has even been compiling a catalog of footage and recordings of the worst things Diddy has done, all with the plans of releasing a feature-length documentary sometime in the future. Allegedly, 50 leaked several videos of J-Lo doing some pretty disgusting things well after she and Diddy were apparently broken up. Now, we all know the sort of evil Diddy is, manipulative and coercive, and J-Lo herself has said several times that she was obsessed with him and very unstable at the time. Well, 50 takes this a step farther, alleging that even after their breakup, J-Lo was still obsessed and more than willing to do whatever Diddy wanted. Hence, these horrifying tapes. Some are still questioning whether J-Lo was a willing or coerced participant, and that's a valuable conversation to have, but just because one person is misused doesn't give them the right to misuse others without consequence. Most of this is speculation, as very few details have come to light. We do not have the benefit of hindsight, and we have no idea where the next twist in this story will come from. We have to slowly live through it until the trial is done and details are made public. The questions abound, however. Did the raid on Diddy's mansion lead to illicit footage of J-Lo doing incriminating acts? Well, almost certainly, but was Ben Affleck then shown those tapes, and did that then lead to a souring of their marriage? Or was Ben well aware of the depravity and it was a mutual decision to keep his name out of the limelight? Did Ben Affleck, in a vengeful rage, release the footage to the public, or was it someone else, like 50 Cent or any other number of Diddy haters? We will be following this story very closely as it continues to evolve and develop, and I have to say I'm just dying to know the truth. I just need to know if I can listen to On the Floor guilt-free or if it has to go in the Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley, R. Kelly pile of songs.
Oprah Winfrey has been connected to Diddy multiple times in the press recently, from being friends, going to parties together, and even being on her talk show together. Now recently, new footage was leaked from Diddy's parties, including Oprah in them. So, what's going on? Well, a source sent Page 6 a VHS tape that was sent out as an invitation to the mogul's 29th birthday party in 1998. It's a combination of celebrities inviting you to Diddy's birthday party. Starting off the video though is Oprah, which stands out a lot. Other celebrities seen in the tape include Ellen DeGeneres, Chris Rock, Mariah Carey, Magic Johnson, Will Smith, Ben Stiller, Joan Rivers, Steven Tyler, and Tommy Hilfiger. Now it begins with a strange home video style skit in which Danny DeVito's lying on a sofa under a blanket and says, "That's right, Puff Daddy is having a party, and this is Puff Daddy inviting you to come. Let's have a ball." Then the group of celebs take turns reading from a script detailing the date and time, exactly how fabulous and expensive the party will be, and then reading an address to RSVP to. They then say that the venue would be revealed later. Now that many people have seen this, they think the celebrities in the video were involved in Diddy's crime ring. They're all consulting their lawyers, one TikTok user said, and another wrote, "This is a whole videoed list of participants and accomplices." Yeah, it just doesn't look good for Oprah. Now, due to this being leaked, there have been claims that Oprah has fled the country. People have also said that the result of the presidential election has also affected Oprah's decision to leave the limelight. Kamala Harris had a lot of celebrities promote her and go to her rallies, and one celebrity who endorsed her was Oprah. But the Washington Examiner had reported that Oprah's media company, Harbo Productions, had received a fee from Harris's campaign for a star-studded live interview in September. Now the price tag, it was said that it was $1 million. Now this is just crazy and it has people upset at the star. Why? Well, Harris's campaign sent out a bunch of messages to civilians asking for donations for the campaign, and fans are not happy that some of their money went to Oprah, who has a net worth of $3 billion. Yes, billion with a B. Now, you'd think Oprah would make an appearance out of the goodness of her heart, but oh no. One person on Twitter said, "Just embarrassing that anyone thought that Lady Gaga or Oprah were going to swing enough votes to justify this is insane." Someone else said, "All of this is so slimy and disgusting. At Oprah is so utterly repugnant." A third said, "Those performers should be ashamed of themselves. This is Trump-level grifting and is just one of many reasons you'll never see me donate a penny to a politician." Now, Oprah, though, has spoken out against this, saying, "Not true. I was paid nothing ever." Now, with this new information revealed, reports from the New York Times, citing two informed sources, revealed that Harbo Productions received nearly $2.5 million, rather than the previously estimated $1 million for the September town hall featuring Harris. It was then said that Oprah donated $150 million to the campaign, but that was false too. Nicole Nichols, a spokesperson for Oprah, told USA Today the show host had not donated to Harris's campaign. No donations to Harris from Oprah or her company Harbo Incorporated are listed on the Federal Election Commission website, a nonpartisan research group that tracks US political spending. Now, it's just a mess for Oprah right now, and this isn't the first controversy she's faced in recent years. This year, she's been called out for how she's spoken about losing weight and how she actually lost weight. Now, all throughout Oprah's career, she's been made fun of for her weight, and she ended up partnering with Weight Watchers, a weight loss plan company. Now, recently, Oprah lost a lot of weight, and she attributed it to Weight Watchers, but it was then revealed that she was lying. She finally revealed that she was using an unnamed weight loss medication, and that's how she was able to lose a lot of weight. So it wasn't the program that she had been promoting for all these years, which made a lot of people feel lied to. Now, a lot of people even claim that Oprah cheated with her weight loss. Then in 2024, Oprah decided to step down and stop working with Weight Watchers altogether. Many people are saying that she's a sellout and that everything she's ever stood for was a lie. While she did not specify the medication she's been taking, it's very likely that she's taking Ozempic or something Ozempic adjacent, which is all the craze with celebrities right now who are trying to lose weight. In 1988, she showed off her new slim figure by taking off an oversized coat and wheeling out a wagon holding 67 pounds of animal fat, the amount she had lost in less than 5 months. Now, this episode grew huge attention, earning the highest ratings in the show's history. However, years later, Oprah expressed regret about it, stating that it was simply an ego trip and admitting that she eventually regained all the weight. Now, Oprah is still receiving pushback from her Maui fund Now, Oprah is also still receiving pushback from her Maui fund she created with The Rock after a bunch of wildfires hit Hawaii in August 2023. It caused a lot of devastation in the community, so Oprah and The Rock created a foundation where money would go right into the pockets of those who were affected. It was a good idea for sure, but the problem people had with it was that the two celebrities only donated $10 million, and then they posted online asking everyday people for help. Now, this made people angry for a couple of reasons, but the main one was the fact that Oprah did not donate that much. As mentioned before, Oprah is worth $3 billion. I mean, she could have given every resident $100,000 and barely see a dent in her bank account. Oprah has always been about giving back to the community, but to some people, it felt like she wasn't helping as much as she could. The Then there was the fact that she was asking everyday people for donations when a lot of people are already going through financial struggles these days. Many people question why she wasn't asking her other wealthy celebrity friends to help, and I think these are all valid complaints, but Oprah ended up actually just making it worse for herself. All the online conversations, being slammed, lies, conspiracy theories really took the focus off what was the most important thing, and that was the people of Maui. Oprah and The Rock then thought about how they'd been giving to charity their whole lives and felt like starting with $10 million worked because it was enough to kick things off before opening the Maui Wildfires Fund up to people who wanted to help but didn't know how. Oprah said, "I was so excited about it. Then I got up the next morning and I saw all this vitriol and I was like, whoa, what happened here?" Yeah, now that honestly was not a good response at all. So with all this hate against Oprah, will she really leave Hollywood and the United States? I mean, she has the funds to do so, so what's to stop her? From her Diddy controversy to her lying to fans and being greedy, could this be the end? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Diddy will be in jail for a very long time for the crimes he committed at his infamous parties. But now, with photos and videos being leaked of the big bashes, some celebrities are scared as they could be implicated with his crimes. Now, since Diddy's arrest, various photos and videos have been leaked and have resurfaced, and celebs are panicking over it. Now, starting off, there's Ashton Kutcher. Now, past footage of him at one of Diddy's white parties, having a good time on a swing, has been going around. Also, photos of him and his then-wife Demi Moore have resurfaced. With this, people have looked more into Ashton and Diddy's past friendship, and it's honestly concerning. Ashton was actually really close with Diddy, and he once said, "If you're a single man, there's probably no greater human being in the world to hang out with. This is 20 years ago, 19 years ago. We were having a lot of fun together." Then, concerning footage of Ashton not being able to name an appropriate favorite Diddy party memory surfaced. While appearing on Hot Ones, host Sean Evans asked Ashton for his favorite memory at a Diddy party, but Ashton said, "I've got a lot I can't tell." He laughed and said, "I can't tell that one either." So if he can't tell those stories, how bad were they? But it said that Ashton himself is worried about what could happen with this whole Diddy situation. An insider source revealed that Ashton absolutely regrets his friendship with Diddy, considering what has happened. He feels lied to, betrayed, taken for granted, and manipulated. Everyone who is close to Diddy fears the possibility of Diddy making up false allegations to clear his own name. Although Kutcher is frightened by the prospect of being involved in the case, he is also prepared to completely cooperate with authorities because he has nothing to hide. Now, in the past, Diddy once named Leo as the #1 person on his white party invitation list, which raises some eyebrows. I mean, you don't just say that. Now, people have been looking at Leo strange, but a source close to Leo says that he's not been in contact with Diddy for years, saying he never attended freak-offs and has nothing to do with the case. Now, the pair were last seen together in 2019 when Leo attended Diddy's 50th birthday party. But a source went on to say, Leonardo DiCaprio has absolutely nothing to do with any of this. He attended a few of his parties back in the early 2000s, but literally everyone did. They were not freak-offs, they were big house parties. Leo was at the start of his career at the time and has moved way past his partying. He has nothing to do with any of that world, so for anyone to assume that he will get roped into this based on a few grainy photos that are more than 20 years old is ridiculous. Then, of course, there's the Kardashians. Kim and Khloe Kardashian have been spotted at multiple Diddy parties, and in recent years, the whole Kar-Jenner family have been spotted with Diddy. They posted about it on social media, talked about him on their reality shows, and Khloe even had Diddy on as a guest on her show Cocktails with Khloe. Now, they have a real deep friendship, but fans noticed that Kim unfollowed Diddy since the raid on his houses. Khloe, though, still has an Instagram photo up of her, Diddy, and her sisters together, and captioned the post, "No party like a Diddy party." Yeah. Then there's the fact that Kris Jenner is dating Corey Gamble, who was good friends with Diddy. An insider said that Corey was aware of Diddy's controversial engagements, and a lot of people believe that Corey must have had some knowledge of what was going on. Now, an insider also noted, though, that he totally denies these allegations. However, it's been said that Kris has already started to plan her family's rescue in case things get dirty for her daughters. It's all very ugly and very embarrassing, and Kris is scrambling to distance them all from this and distract everyone, but that's going to be impossible if they get called to testify. Now, another source said all these years that they bragged about partying with Diddy have of course got everyone assuming that they were somehow involved in these deprived freak-offs. They then asserted that the family had no idea of the sorts of twisted things he was up to after hours. Now, talking to In Touch magazine, the insider continued, Diddy had plenty of glamorous parties over the years that weren't freak-offs, at least not until the early morning hours when the majority of people had left. Now, the insider suggests that Kris is presently scrambling to distance them from all of this, and I can't blame her. Then there's the VHS tape that was recently leaked. Now, a source sent page 6 of VHS tape that was sent out as an invitation to Diddy's 29th birthday in 1998. It begins with a strange home video style skit in which Danny DeVito, lying on a sofa under a blanket, says, "That's right, Puff Daddy is having a party, and this is Puff Daddy inviting you to come. Let's have a ball." Then a group of celebs take turns reading from a script detailing the date and time, exactly how fabulous and expensive the party will be, and then reading an address to RSVP to. They then said that the venue would be revealed later. Now, this group of celebrities includes Oprah, Ellen DeGeneres, Chris Rock, Mariah Carey, Will Smith, and Joan Rivers, to name a few. It's also been said that the whole video is 6 minutes long, but just over a minute of it was posted. Now, what happens in the other 5 minutes of it? No one really knows. People who have seen this, though, claim that the celebs involved in the tape should be looked at as potential accomplices in Diddy's case, as they appear to be good friends with him and have close ties. And hey, I gotta say, I agree with this. I mean, everyone should be looked into, as the crimes Diddy is being accused of are absolutely disgusting, and he clearly was not alone committing them. Now, Ray J, who is friends with Diddy, has spoken out about how some celebrities are paying off their victims when it comes to the freak-offs. Ray J said, "I'm hearing about artists paying victims to keep their names out of it." Now, Tony Busby, the attorney representing more than 120 alleged victims, disclosed that he has sent out demand letters to the celebrities, asking them to pay up or face the consequences. Now, Tony had previously mentioned that investigations into Diddy's case had implicated several Hollywood big shots. He has disclosed that he's now going after other celebrities, though, who attended Diddy's freak-offs, even if they did nothing wrong. In a new appearance on TMZ's documentary, The Downfall of Diddy: Inside the Freak-Offs, Tony claims such big names are as guilty as those who perpetrated the crimes, explaining that their silence and unwillingness to stand against it makes them liable. Now, I wonder if any of the celebrities we mentioned before were sent these letters. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And I mean, in a September 17th letter to a judge arguing for Diddy to be jailed until he is brought to trial, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams claimed that his office has the testimony of dozens of witnesses and victims to his serial mistreatment, and evidence from dozens of his own electronic devices and those of his co-conspirators. Investigators have taken in more than 90 cell phones, laptops, cloud storage accounts, as well as at least 30 storage devices. They issued more than 300 grand jury subpoenas to obtain this evidence from communication providers, tech and social media companies, financial institutions, and Diddy's companies. We've been finding out more and more information about Diddy recently, and somehow Britney Spears has been involved in all of this. Yep, you heard that right, so let's look into her involvement. TriStar Sports and Entertainment Group is the celebrity management firm that previously came under fire for its alleged involvement in Britney Spears' conservatorship battle. Turns out though, they also have a connection to Diddy. The company's founder, president, and CEO is none other than Britney's former business manager, Lou M. Taylor, who she accused of playing a key role in the conservatorship's implementation in 2008. Now, we know that sketchy things were happening with Britney, so who knows what horrible things this group has done in connection to Diddy. Now, Lou actually managed Diddy too, as she confirmed it in 2019. Britney has also previously called out TriStar Services director Robin Greenhill, who was recently mentioned in a civil lawsuit against Diddy by producer Rodney Little Rod Jones. In 2021, it was revealed that Greenhill was in control of Britney's credit cards, medications, and that TriStar had allegedly used Britney's own money to hire a security team to surveil her during her conservatorship, which is honestly just crazy. Now, Britney even spoke out about Greenhill in her memoir, labeling her a weird blank lackey, and accused the pair, along with her own father, Jamie Spears, of bullying her. Now, it is also previously reported by the Los Angeles Times that Britney's legal team was investigating the alleged $18 million that TriStar obtained from her estate over the span of the conservatorship, which was terminated by a judge in November 2021 after 13 years. TriStar, Taylor, and Greenhill have all denied the allegations and have insisted that Britney's conservatorship was put forth by recommendation of legal counsel, not TriStar, and approved by the court for more than 12 years. Now, they mistreated Britney so poorly, and it appears that they helped Diddy cause harms to others. Now, Greenhill's name was back in the press this year after Rodney Low Rod Jones filed a $30 million lawsuit against Diddy, claiming that he mistreated and took advantage of him. Now, Rodney also claimed that Diddy made him a witness to multiple crimes against his own will as well. Now, how does this relate to Britney? Well, she accused the company and its founder, her former manager, Lou Taylor, of helping create and benefiting from the conservatorship agreement put in place by her father, Jamie Spears, in 2008, which she described as traumatizing in her court statements. Now, Britney claimed that TriStar had received $18 million in the conservatorship arrangement, even though Britney didn't have access to her own earnings. Now, the New York Times reported that Greenhill had been an important agent in the company's interest in the conservatorship by controlling her credit cards and medications well beyond what one would expect a pop star's management company to do. Now, a lot of the company's inner workings for how it manages its accounts are kept under lock and key, the paper reported, with two former employees saying they weren't allowed to access basic information like income statements or balance sheets. TriStar first tried to deny it helped originate Britney's conservatorship, which her attorney challenged by presenting the court with an email that showed its reps discussing the arrangement at its origination. The New York Times documentary about Britney's case included allegations that TriStar and Greenhill specifically had operated an elaborate surveillance apparatus to spy on the pop star. But how did this all start? Well, everyone knows about Britney's meltdowns in 2006 and 2007. Now, later, at the beginning of 2008, she was put on a 5150 hold in the hospital. A week after this, she was sent back to the hospital on a 5150 hold again, and her father Jamie was granted temporary conservatorship over the star. Now, soon after the conservatorship was in place, she said her father said, "I just want to let you know, I call the shots. You sit there in that chair and I'll tell you what goes on," she recalled. "I looked at him with a growing sense of horror. I'm Britney Spears now," he said. Now, Britney also spoke out about the 13-year conservatorship, and she hit out at her dad Jamie in the explosive memoir as she opened up about the unrelenting control her family had over her, which, looking back, makes her feel sick. Now, people in Hollywood knew that this was happening but didn't do anything. Finally, in 2019, fans started to realize that something was wrong, and they created the Free Britney movement. Now, with fans backing Britney up, she felt like she finally had a voice and requested the conservatorship to end. Now, she and her father appeared in court multiple times over the year, and on November 12, 2021, the conservatorship was finally over. Now, it seems like TriStar and its employees are always getting in trouble and should honestly be investigated. While Britney is free now, some people don't think she got the justice she deserved. Now that TriStar is intertwined with Diddy, maybe the company and its employees will now be held accountable. Now, Diddy, though, for his part, claims that he's innocent. Now, Diddy is currently awaiting trial at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. He's proposed different bail packages, but they've all been denied. Defense lawyer Alexandra Shapiro asked them to release Diddy on a $50 million bond, which would be backed by his $48 million Miami home and co-signed by several of his family members. Now, she also proposed that Diddy be monitored around the clock by security personnel, be subjected to at-home detention, and have no contact with alleged victims or witnesses. One of the judges who denied this package, Judge Robin Ternafisky, sided with U.S. Attorney's argument that Diddy posed a risk if he were to be released for home detention. She said, "I don't believe that counsel has the ability to control you, given the very significant concerns I have, particularly because of substance use and what seems like anger issues. The danger, I think, is quite serious," she added of Diddy's release, deciding that the bond package his team offered would not assure his return to court or the safety of the community or lack of witness tampering. In a September 17th letter to the judge arguing for Diddy to be jailed until he was brought to trial, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams claimed that his office has the testimony of dozens of witnesses and victims to his serial mistreatment and evidence from dozens of his own electronic devices and those of his co-conspirators. Investigators have taken in more than 90 cell phones, laptops, cloud storage accounts, as well as at least 30 storage devices. They issued more than 300 grand jury subpoenas to obtain this evidence from communication providers, tech and social media companies, financial institutions, and Diddy's companies. Prosecutors allegedly have dozens of videos depicting Diddy's so-called freak-offs that corroborate witness testimony. So it's safe to say that there's plenty of evidence that will keep Diddy in jail.
Puff Daddy is currently facing some serious allegations that have tarnished the reputation he built for himself in the music industry and beyond. Once a close-knit circle of celebrity friends seems to be distancing themselves in the wake of these serious allegations. Well, there's a leaked VHS tape allegedly sent as an invitation to Puffy's 29th birthday back in 1998 that has further raised a number of eyebrows. So known for his love of partying, Puff Daddy has never shied away from going out and about while hosting such events, although some of his current legal troubles reportedly stem from similar gatherings. But I digress. So the nearly 6-minute long video serves both as a time capsule from the peak of the bad boy era and as a reminder of how far Puff Daddy, who even skipped this year's Grammy Awards and is now kind of, out of action, has slipped socially amid the investigation. So the tape, which arrived in the hands of the most powerful and glamorous players in LA and New York in a black velvet pouch with the birthday gala, November 4th, 1998 written on it in white script, features, wait for it folks, Oprah, Ellen DeGeneres, Chris Rock, Mariah Carey, Magic Johnson, Will Smith, Ben Stiller, Joan Rivers, Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, Tommy Hilfiger, Clive Davis, Ronald Perlman, Penny Marshall, Stephen Baldwin, and so many more. And they're all taking turns to hype the bash, encouraging the recipients to RSVP and to goof off for the camera. It all begins with a strange home video style skit in which Danny DeVito, lying on a sofa under a blanket, is like, "That's right, Puff Daddy's having a party, and this is Puff Daddy inviting you to come. Let's have a ball." And then the cavalcade of A-listers take turns reading from a script detailing the date and time, exactly how fabulous and expensive the affair will be, and then reading an address to RSVP to. Apparently the venue, which turned out to be Cipriani Wall Street, would be revealed later. One person refers to the "I'll Be Missing You" rapper as the legendary Puff Daddy. Some folks, including Ellen DeGeneres, tease him for his many monikers. Some other folks make fun of their own unease with hip-hop slang. One reliable source who attended the bash said, I'd forgotten how much was made of the party in the press. I think bigger celebs and moguls were fascinated by the chutzpah of this 29-year-old. The Daily News reported that at the time the bash cost $600,000 and 1,600 people were on that list. The Observer compared it to Truman Capote's black and white ball at the Plaza, writing that while Truman's party was more for the creme de la creme of society, Puff Daddy was celebrating the kind of high-profile commercial success and notoriety that knows no bounds. So for decades, these parties were the place to be. Puff Daddy had all sorts of them. He had his annual Hamptons White Party. We had a number of blow-up birthday bashes like the one I just mentioned. There were these lavish champagne and caviar-filled soirees, and these were attended by the likes of Jay-Z, Beyonce, J-Lo, Leonardo DiCaprio, and so many more. There was chatter. Leonardo DiCaprio did step back after a snap from one of the infamous parties came to light, and a friend of his mentioned, look, he just went to a party, it wasn't that big of a deal, they weren't super close, but look, back when Leonardo showed up at Puff Daddy's white party, the music star had tagged Leonardo as the #1 person he wanted at the bash. But apparently a source close to the situation is no, Leo had no connection with Puff Daddy ever since that party in 1998. The insider made it clear that the actor was not involved in the freak-offs. Well, a source shares that they were known to be wild. Anything went to those parties. And ever since all those legal things have been coming into light this year, there's been a lot of speculation about what goes on there. There's been talks of rooms just for getting it on. There's been rampant substance use. There's been these all-night getting it on situations. Apparently, and these freak-offs were mentioned in the 14-page indictment, victims were, given substances against their will, forced to participate in extended performances that could last days at a time with professional workers. These things took place at hotels. Now, we gotta remember that Puff Daddy did plead not guilty to the charges and has denied all claims of SA. How much or how little did his A-list guests actually see at these crazy parties? Well, a couple of celebs have not been tight-lipped. In a 2014 episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Khloe Kardashian recalled hitting up a Puff Daddy bash in Las Vegas. And she's like, yeah, this party, I think half the people were in the nude. And when asked about what went down when somebody else attended, Ashton Kutcher was like, I got a lot I can't say. And he said that verbatim in 2019 on Hot Ones. He's like, yeah, going through my little Rolodex of stories, can't tell that one either. In 2016, Howard Stern asked Usher, who lived with Puff Daddy for a year when he was, getting a start in the industry. And Howard Stern was like, hey, would you let anybody in your family go to one of those parties? Usher was like, nope. So obviously following all of this, a lot of folks are like, okay, we were maybe at the parties, but we didn't see anything. 50 Cent has been very, very vocal for a very long time, being like, nope, I didn't go to those parties. It's an uncomfortable energy, which in retrospect, probably a very smart man. Puff Daddy's friend Ray J was like, I've never seen anything that's been said there. I've never been in rooms that people are talking about. I don't think they existed. A lot of people in the industry can agree with me on that sense. Now look, apparently all the unsavory behavior took place at the after parties. What happened before 2 a.m. pales into comparison to what happened at 5 a.m. There was a source who wrangled guests for these parties, and yeah, the high-profile celebs would apparently leave around 2 to 3 a.m., and that's when the party took a turn for the naughty. Folks would lose their clothes, which was apparently the signal for people to leave. That's when fun things would come out, and that's when it would turn into a bender. During an intimate discussion with Oprah, peeling away the layers of his complex life, Puff Daddy evoked curiosity by avoiding details about the origin of the Puff Daddy moniker. So this conversation was part of an interview for O Magazine, and Oprah was just casually asking. She's like, what's going on here? And Puffy was like, look, it's a nickname somebody gave me. And obviously Oprah being an interviewer, she was like, okay, but we're gonna prod here. And then Puff Daddy was like, look, I've never told anyone that. I know you get people to tell you everything, Oprah, but I can't look you in the eye and explain that one. He's like, no, we're gonna have a name change ceremony. I'm rocking with, a new moniker now. My man Biggie gave me that. So who else was at these parties? Mariah Carey, Paris Hilton were spotted enjoying the lavish and extravagant atmosphere. Going back to Usher, once again, so he was mentored by Puff Daddy. He was at a lot of these parties. He's mentioned a lot of the wild things, and he once, he kind of handed over Bieber. Other high-profile guests included music icon Diana Ross, Hollywood actor Owen Wilson, but we're gonna go back to Ashton Kutcher for a moment. Because even though he said I can't talk about anything, and oh, I never did anything, Their friendship goes way back. In the mid-2000s, they were so close that they were like, oh, we're the new Rat Pack, us and Jamie Foxx. So when Ashton said like, hey, I can't talk about a lot of this, what can't you talk about? Because the Daily Mail is like, hey, we think you might be expecting a subpoena soon about what you do know. And sure, yeah, Puffy has said, nothing's happening. But if Ashton Kutcher is worried about potential betrayal, what would he be betrayed about?
Footage has resurfaced of Will Smith participating in a video invitation to Sean Diddy Combs' 29th birthday party, and after everything that has come out about Diddy events, people are wondering just how involved Smith was in the party's activities. We'll get into this and more today in new leaked party footage of Diddy and Will Smith changes everything. In the modern day, Page 6 is the celebrity news site that got their hands on a VHS tape, that is how old this invite is, a VHS tape of the invitation. It's a whole bunch of famous celebrities, including Oprah, Ellen, Ben Stiller, Chris Rock, and more, inviting the recipient to an exclusive Diddy bash. In this section posted to Page 6's YouTube channel, Will Smith has a featured moment saying, "You are cordially invited to celebrate the birth of P. Diddy." No expense appears to be spared. In addition to the celebrity cameos, Page 6 reports that at the time, the VHS invite would have been delivered in a black velvet pouch embroidered with the birthday gala and the date of the event, November 4th, 1998. TSG.com actually leaked this birthday invitation and location 2 days before the bash was set to happen. Because this was 1998 though when it leaked, their servers couldn't handle posting the video all at once, so it was only released in roughly 10 to 20 second chunks. And get this, barely anyone has watched these videos. Of the 5 parts, the one with the most views has 157, so it's kind of like you're the first to hear about this decades-old drama. Anyway, the footage is causing a stir because over the past year, Diddy has been hit with many lawsuits accusing the rapper of physically engaging with individuals without consent, forcing people to perform acts or consume things they do not want to, invading privacy, and generally being a bad guy and more. Some of these acts he was committing were done in private. Security footage viral earlier this year of an altercation between Diddy and a past partner of his, in which he was physically rough with her in a deserted hotel hallway. But that doesn't mean untoward things didn't take place in public. A term you are probably hearing a lot when it comes to this situation is freak off. These were parties hosted by Diddy in which all parties present would engage with each other, allegedly, not always consensually, and allegedly Diddy would film the events. Many people with suits open against the disgraced rapper who claim to have been involved in these freak-offs say they did not want to be there. However, Diddy's lawyer claims that it was all consensual. The freak-offs part of this scandal is causing problems for many of Hollywood's most famous, as it has become a thing to assume that if someone was spotted at a Diddy party, any Diddy party, then they engaged in a freak-off. That's why all the celebrities in that VHS invite that were so excited to invite people to the birthday party are now being looked at more closely. However, it is worth noting that just because someone attended a Diddy bash doesn't mean they engaged in untoward activities. Freak-offs are commonly reported to have either been planned well in advance with hotels rented and people organized, or that they were a result of late-night partying, so the after party for an event might have turned into a freak-off. Many news publications report that by the time the evening would get to freak-off status, most of the big-name celebrities would have left. Like in the case of Sean Diddy Combs' 2005 VMAs after party. This was attended by stars like Paris Hilton, Eva Longoria, and more. According to the US Sun, as the party switched from a nightclub to Diddy's mansion in the early morning, the big names had long departed the event, and well in his home, the festivities had descended into a freak-off. Footage from the later half of the party allegedly shows Diddy wearing the same outfit he had been in at the VMA party pics. That's how the two situations were connected. But sometimes, even if it's unknown if a party later became a freak-off, that doesn't mean odd things didn't happen. Smith attended and was likewise photographed at a 2004 Diddy party. Now this party in particular, from the photos Smith is in, it doesn't look too strange, a regular party setting. However, other photos that appear to be taken from the same evening show the less family-friendly side of the event. In one photo, you can see an unclothed woman lying on a table surrounded by and with food on top of her body. She has a leaf to protect her lower half, however she is exposed everywhere else. One picture shows Combs standing over that woman and staring down at her while eating what appears to be a chocolate strawberry. The woman is surrounded by chocolate strawberries, grapes, candles, and other food items. The act of eating off an unclothed woman
woman is actually a known Japanese practice that some would consider an art, but was outlawed in China in 2005 after it was deemed a public health concern and morally wrong. Despite the photos from this particular party being available for decades, people are now just starting to analyze them due to all the accusations against Combs. Technically, Diddy was enjoying a Japanese practice, but his past inappropriate actions have made people wonder if the woman on the table was as willing a participant or forced to be there. Again, due to Combs wearing the same outfits in photos with the woman and then later with Will Smith, it appears Smith was in attendance at this particular party. Will Smith and Combs are only pictured talking to one another. It's unclear if Smith also visited that table with the woman or kept his distance. Another example of a Diddy party with freaky elements would be his November 2004 birthday bash. The room was lined with raised levels with curtains at the back, so if guests didn't want to be on the dance floor, they could watch from above, which is admittedly not odd. The weird part came later. As the night went on, the curtains were drawn back to reveal beds, booths, and water-filled porcelain bathtubs. The article also states that screens started displaying the text King Diddy. The booths would be standard for a party setting, but the beds and bathtubs? We don't need that. Now that the public is aware of Diddy's disturbing activities behind closed doors, it makes the inclusion of the beds and baths so much worse. The article goes on to confirm that in addition to the famous individuals at the party, it was also attended by performers like acrobats, go-go dancers, and those in other similar lines of work. This article does not touch on if the bathtubs or the beds were used for anything other than a break from tearing up the dance floor. While the VHS invitation is certainly extravagant, it's not the only time Diddy has sent invites as fancy as his events. For his 2002 VMAs after party, the rapper sent out old-timey looking invitations accompanied by, literally, a golden ticket. The golden ticket had all the party details, whereas the paper contained the dress code and other event rules. The men were required to have a clean-shaven haircut. The women also needed to have fancy hair, but also mani-pedis and to be waxed. And everyone had to be dressed up. He specifically called for top designers to be worn, like Gucci, YSL, you get the picture. All in all, little is known about this exclusive event, but the end of the invite features a line that is so much worse with the present-day context added to it. Don't disturb the fancy. Sure, this could mean just show up looking your best so you don't stand out among the other fancy people, but after learning about the beds from a later party, the women on the table, and the freak-offs, it reads as much, much weirder. But the big question, is this invitation real? No idea. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend at the time because I was probably off somewhere learning to walk. Nowadays, as I search for a source, the party was so long ago that there really isn't much. Plus, an invite like this would be really hard to get your hands on. Other than TSG.com, one other news site posted the invite, this time featuring that golden ticket and envelopes. There is a chance that it is in fact real. Either way, the party happened, and if the don't disturb the activities is as weird as it sounds today, then we don't really have to wonder if some untoward things happened at this extravagant affair. But to bring it back as to why you probably clicked this video, the connection between Diddy and Will Smith. Their history includes more than just partying. A rumor made its rounds that while Diddy was dating J-Lo back in the late 90s, early 2000s, Will Smith and his wife had propositioned the Jenny from the Block singer with an invitation to join them in bed. Allegedly, Diddy wasn't too happy with that and threatened to attack Smith, a wild rumor that found its way into a more recent segment of Jimmy Kimmel Live. Never one to shy away from anything, Kimmel straight up asked the rapper if this was true. At first, the music artist made absolutely no movements. He looked very serious, eventually breaking to respond with, "You really heard that?" and laughed the whole thing off, claiming he didn't know what Kimmel was talking about. The talk show host played into the bit, making a remark about how one can't believe everything they read on the internet. Even if the rumor proved to be true, Smith and Combs must have worked it out, considering they were pictured at multiple events together in later years, including the premiere of Hancock in 2008. Yes, plus, in a wild turn of fate, Diddy happened to be the person speaking next at the Oscars the year Will Smith rocked Chris Rock live on television. After the moment, Diddy had come out on stage and said, "I did not know that this year was going to be the most exciting Oscars ever. Okay, Will and Chris, we're going to solve that like family at the Gold Party, okay? But right now, we are moving on with love." P. Diddy was also one of the first to jump to Smith's defense after that incident.